The air was thick with tension in room 214 at Maplewood Middle School. It was the day of the final algebra exam, and students were silently grappling with their anxiety. Among them sat Mia Thompson, a diligent 13-year-old known for her studious nature and polite demeanor. With her back straight and pencil poised, Mia had spent the past few weeks preparing for this moment. She had gone over every formula and problem set with her mother, who was a former teacher, ensuring Mia was ready to excel. As the clock ticked away, students shifted in their seats, pencils tapping nervously against their papers. Mr. Carter, the math teacher with a reputation for being strict, roamed the room, his gaze sharp as he observed his students. Mia felt a wave of confidence wash over her as she completed the test ahead of time. With a quiet determination, she slid her paper forward, fully aware of the whispers that began to ripple through the classroom. "Finished already?" Mr. Carter exclaimed, raising an eyebrow as he approached her desk. Mia nodded, a hint of pride swelling in her chest. However, as he picked up her test and flipped through the pages, his expression changed. "Mia, please stay after class," he instructed, his tone unnervingly flat. The whispers intensified, and Mia felt the weight of their scrutiny. Students exchanged glances, some smirking as they packed their bags. Confused and anxious, Mia remained seated, staring at her desk, her heart racing. When the bell rang, signaling the end of class, she slowly stood, feeling as if the hallway was an endless stretch before her. By lunchtime, the rumors had spread like wildfire through the cafeteria. "Did you hear? Mia got caught cheating." "No way, she's too smart for that." "I heard she had the answers early." Each comment pierced Mia's heart, leaving her feeling isolated and misunderstood. She chose a quiet corner to eat alone, battling a storm of questions in her mind. Why her? Why now? In a nearby office, her mother, Laura, was about to open an email that would change everything. The subject line read, "Concerns regarding Mia's test performance." Skimming through the message, her brow furrowed with concern. The email vaguely accused Mia of violating academic integrity during the algebra assessment. Laura's concern quickly turned to resolve as she grabbed her phone, ready to support her daughter. "Mia?" she said softly, when Mia called her between classes, her voice trembling. "I got the email. What happened?" Mia struggled to articulate her feelings. "I didn't cheat, Mum. He thought my answers were too perfect." Laura's expression shifted, a mix of determination and frustration. "We need to address this. No one should be able to tarnish your hard work without proof." As Mia navigated the rest of her day, the atmosphere around her felt heavier. Classmates looked at her with a mix of curiosity and judgment, whispering behind her back. "She just wants to seem smart," one girl said, while another added, "Mr. Carter wouldn't lie about cheating." Even Malik, a boy she often joked with, seemed uncertain as he approached her. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, his voice lacking its usual lightness. "Yeah," she replied, though inside she felt anything but fine. The only refuge she found was in her English class, where Mrs. Brooks greeted her warmly, offering a smile that felt like solace amidst the chaos. But even in that familiar space, the lingering glances from her peers reminded her that everything had changed. As evening fell, Laura opened a manila folder filled with documents, ready to build a case for her daughter. "I'm collecting everything," she said to Mia, who watched with a mixture of confusion and hope. "We need to prove your hard work. Some people won't believe you just because they're quick to judge." Mia felt a flicker of strength at her mother's words, knowing deep down that they would fight this together. If you've ever faced unfair judgments or accusations, remember that your truth matters. Don't hesitate to stand up for yourself and seek support from those who believe in you. Keep records of your achievements and share your story with others who may need encouragement. Your voice can inspire change. Mia Thompson was no ordinary 13-year-old. With her curly brown hair neatly tied back and her glasses perched on her nose, she embodied the eager, diligent student that every teacher hoped to have in their class. From an early age, Mia had developed a passion for learning, finding joy in solving complex problems and understanding new concepts. Unlike many of her peers, who often felt overwhelmed by schoolwork, Mia approached her studies with enthusiasm and determination. Known for her quiet demeanor, Mia often sat alone at lunch, savoring her turkey sandwich while engrossed in a book or jotting down notes. Her favorite subjects were math and science, where she could explore the mechanics of the universe and delve into the intricacies of numbers. She thrived in an environment that challenged her intellect. Every evening, she would gather with her mother, Laura, at the kitchen table, where they would tackle practice problems together. Laura, a former teacher, was not just a parent but also a mentor who encouraged Mia's aspirations and fostered her love for education. However, beneath Mia's calm exterior lay a fierce determination to prove herself. She had always been aware of the stereotypes that often accompanied students who excelled academically, particularly in a school where athletic prowess often overshadowed academic success. Mia often felt the burden of expectations. Her peers sometimes underestimated her because of her quiet nature. Yet, she was resolute in her belief that hard work and dedication would shine through, regardless of what others thought. On the day of the algebra test, Mia felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She had prepared extensively, reviewing every formula and theorem thanks to her mother's unwavering support. As she sat in the classroom surrounded by her classmates, her heart raced with anticipation. She was ready to demonstrate her knowledge and prove that she deserved to succeed based on her efforts. However, when Mr. Carter accused her of cheating, everything changed. The weight of his words felt like a crushing blow. Mia had always prided herself on her integrity. The accusation struck at the very core of her identity. In that moment, surrounded by whispers and sidelong glances from her peers, she felt both vulnerable and misunderstood. It was a stark reminder of how quickly admiration could turn into suspicion, especially for a girl who simply wanted to be recognized for her hard work and intelligence. As she navigated the halls of Maplewood Middle School, Mia's world seemed to shift. The supportive environment she once cherished now felt hostile. Yet deep down, she knew she had to stand firm. With her mother by her side, Mia was determined to fight back against the unfounded accusations and reclaim her narrative. This was not just about one test. It was about proving that brilliance should never be met with skepticism simply because of one's background or personality. As the days unfolded after the algebra test, the weight of the accusation began to seep into every corner of Mia's life at Maplewood Middle School. What had once been a place of learning and support now felt like a battleground. The whispers that followed her through the hallways grew louder, and the once friendly glances of her classmates were replaced with looks of suspicion and derision. Mia could feel the shift in the atmosphere. It was as if a dark cloud had settled over her. Mr. Carter's words echoed in her mind. These answers are too good, too exact. You didn't do this on your own. Each time she recalled the conversation, anger and hurt surged within her. How could he doubt her? Hadn't she poured her heart and soul into her studies? The very thought of being labeled a cheater felt like a betrayal to her hard work and integrity. She had never taken shortcuts, and now the very foundation of her character was being questioned. At lunch, Mia sat alone in her usual corner, pushing her food around her plate, her appetite lost to the turmoil swirling inside her. Friends who once shared laughter with her now avoided her gaze, opting for hushed conversations that faded into silence as she approached. It felt as though she had become a pariah, marked by an invisible scarlet letter. She overheard snippets of conversations like, "I heard she got the answers from someone," and Mr. Carter wouldn't lie about cheating. Each comment cut deeper, feeding her sense of isolation. In her mind, Mia replayed the moment when Mr. Carter had summoned her after class. The disbelief she felt at being accused of cheating turned into a relentless cycle of self-doubt. She wondered if she should have studied differently, or if she could have approached the test in a way that wouldn't have raised eyebrows. Deep down, she understood that her success might have triggered a bias that many didn't even realize existed. As a young girl of color in a predominantly white school, Mia often sensed the weight of expectations placed upon her. However, the turning point came when her mother, Laura, insisted that they take action. "We cannot let this go," she said firmly, determination etched on her face. "You've worked too hard for someone to tarnish your name without proof." Laura's unwavering support reignited a flicker of hope within Mia. She realized that she could not remain silent in the face of this injustice. Together, they would confront the school's administration and demand that Mia's character be defended. As Mia prepared to stand up for herself, she felt a mix of fear and resolve. She knew the path ahead would be challenging, but the thought of letting someone else define her worth was unbearable. With her mother by her side, Mia was ready to fight for the truth and reclaim her narrative. It was no longer just about a single test. It was about standing up against prejudice and asserting her right to succeed on her own terms. The following morning, as the sun streamed through the kitchen window, Mia and her mother, Laura, sat at the table, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken tension. The email from the school still loomed large in their minds, a stark reminder of the battle that lay ahead. Laura, a former teacher herself, understood the importance of advocating for her daughter, and she was determined to ensure that Mia's voice was heard. "Mia," Laura began, her tone serious, yet comforting, "we need to address this situation. You deserve to defend yourself against these accusations." Mia nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and apprehension. She appreciated her mother's fierce support, yet the thought of confronting the school made her stomach twist with anxiety. Laura spent the morning gathering documentation to present at their meeting with the school administration. She pulled out practice tests, tutoring logs, and even screenshots of their study sessions. "We need to show them the effort you've put in," Laura explained, as she meticulously organized the papers. "This isn't just about one test, it's about your hard work over the years." Mia watched as her mother's determination transformed their kitchen into a war room, a place where they would strategize to confront the unfairness that had befallen her. When they arrived at Maplewood Middle School, the familiar hallways felt different. The bright lights and cheerful decorations that once brought Mia joy now served as a stark reminder of how quickly things could change. As they walked toward the principal's office, Mia felt a knot in her stomach. She was nervous, but also resolute. She knew that she needed to stand up for herself. Entering the conference room, the atmosphere was tense. Principal Dawson, Mr. Carter, and the assistant principal, Miss Reed, were already seated, their expressions unreadable. Laura wasted no time. "Thank you for meeting with us," she said, her voice steady but firm. "I would like to discuss the allegations against my daughter. Accusing a student of cheating is a serious matter, especially when there is no evidence to support it." Mia felt her heart race as her mother continued to speak. She glanced at Mr. Carter, who avoided her gaze, and then at Miss Reed, who appeared slightly uncomfortable. The meeting unfolded, with Laura presenting Mia's achievements and the documentation they had prepared. Each piece of evidence highlighted Mia's dedication and hard work, painting a clear picture of a student who had earned her success. Throughout the discussion, Mia's confidence grew. She could see the doubt beginning to flicker in the eyes of the administrators as her mother articulated the importance of fairness and the impact of their accusations. Mia realized that she was not just fighting for herself, but also for every student who had ever been unjustly accused or underestimated. Laura's unwavering support provided Mia with the strength she needed to speak her truth. After the meeting, as they walked out of the school, Mia felt a newfound sense of empowerment. "Thank you for standing up for me, Mum," she said softly, her heart swelling with appreciation. Laura smiled. "You didn't need me to fight your battles, Mia. You just needed to know that you are worth defending." With a sense of hope ignited within her, Mia understood that this was just the beginning of her journey toward reclaiming her dignity and proving her worth. The next day, Mia and Laura found themselves back at Maplewood Middle School, the air thick with anticipation and anxiety. Mia clutched a manila folder filled with evidence of her hard work, her heart pounding as they approached the principal's office. This meeting was crucial, and she knew that her future at the school depended on how they presented their case. "Remember, Mia," Laura said encouragingly as they walked down the hallway, "stay calm and speak your truth. You have every right to defend yourself." Mia nodded, taking a deep breath to steady her nerves. She was determined to make her voice heard, but the thought of facing Mr. Carter and the other administrators still sent a shiver down her spine. Upon entering the conference room, they were greeted by Principal Dawson, Mr. Carter, and Assistant Principal, Miss Reed. The atmosphere felt charged, tense with unspoken accusations and expectations. Laura wasted no time. "Thank you for meeting with us," she began, her voice steady and assertive. "We're here to discuss the serious allegations against my daughter, Mia." Mia sat quietly, her heart racing as she listened to her mother lay out their concerns. Laura presented the documentation they had prepared, showcasing Mia's practice tests, tutoring logs, and notes from their study sessions. These demonstrate Mia's dedication and commitment to her education. "She has worked incredibly hard to earn her grades," Laura insisted, her eyes fixed on the administrators. Mr. Carter shifted uncomfortably in his seat, avoiding eye contact with Mia. "I understand your concerns, but Mia's performance on the test was exceptional, too exceptional in fact," he replied, attempting to justify his earlier suspicions. "It's unusual for a student to score perfectly without assistance." Mia felt her cheeks flush with frustration. She was about to speak up when Laura interjected. "With all due respect, Mr. Carter, it's important to recognize that students can excel without cheating. Mia has been diligent in her studies and she deserves to be treated with respect." Mia took a deep breath, feeling emboldened by her mother's defense. "I studied hard for that test," she said, her voice steady. "I didn't cheat. I worked with my mom every night and I put in the effort to understand the material." Her eyes met Mr. Carter's, and for a moment she saw a flicker of uncertainty in his gaze. "Let's not forget that other students scored well too," Laura added firmly. "If we're going to question Mia's integrity, we should also evaluate the methods and results of her classmates. Why is only Mia being singled out?" The room fell silent as the administrators exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from skepticism to contemplation. Principal Dawson finally spoke, acknowledging the weight of the situation. "We appreciate your bringing this to our attention. We take these matters seriously and will review the evidence thoroughly." As they wrapped up the meeting, Mia felt a mixture of relief and hope. She had stood up for herself, and with her mother's support, she had made her case clear. As they left the office, a sense of empowerment washed over Mia. "Thank you for believing in me, Mum," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. Laura smiled back, her heart swelling with pride. "You did great, Mia. Remember, no one else can define your worth." With renewed determination, Mia knew that she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, confident that she could overcome the obstacles in her path. The following day, as rumors continued to swirl through the halls of Maplewood Middle School, a shift began to take shape behind the scenes. While Mia faced the fallout from Mr. Carter's accusations, A quiet yet determined figure named Stephanie Holt, the school's data specialist, had started to dig deeper into the situation. Unbeknownst to Mia, Stephanie had a reputation for being thorough and meticulous, and she was not one to overlook discrepancies. After hearing the whispers about Mia's alleged cheating, Stephanie was prompted to pull the test scores from the recent algebra assessment across all 8th grade classes. She began her investigation reviewing each student's performance. As she examined the data, a pattern quickly emerged. Several students, including Mia, had scored high marks, yet only Mia had been flagged for cheating. This discrepancy raised alarm bells in Stephanie's mind. Sitting in her cramped office, Stephanie scrutinized the test results, checking not only the scores but also the methods used by each student. Mia had scored a perfect 100%, but so had two other students, Ethan and Sophia. What struck Stephanie was that all three students had utilized a similar, less common method to solve the problems correctly. Unlike Mia, however, Ethan and Sophia had not been accused of dishonesty. Stephanie leaned back in her chair, puzzled by the evident bias. As she continued her analysis, Stephanie noticed that Mia had provided detailed steps in her answers, demonstrating a clear understanding of the material. There were no signs of copying, no patterns of duplication, and no evidence to suggest any wrongdoing. The more she dug, the more convinced she became that Mia was being treated unfairly. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Stephanie decided to take action. She drafted an email to Principal Dawson and Miss Reed, outlining her findings and urging them to reconsider the accusations against Mia. Her message was clear. Multiple students had performed similarly, and singling out Mia lacked statistical justification. Meanwhile, Mia was still navigating the emotional turmoil at school. She walked through the hallways, her head down, trying to avoid the lingering glances and whispered conversations about her. Each day felt heavier than the last, filled with the weight of her peers' judgments. Yet amidst the uncertainty, she found solace in her mother's unwavering support. Laura reminded Mia that she was not alone in this fight. As Stephanie's email circulated through the administration, the atmosphere began to shift once again. The school officials were forced to confront the implications of their earlier actions. Mia's situation had sparked a deeper conversation about fairness and bias within the school, prompting them to reevaluate their practices regarding academic integrity. The wheels of change were in motion, and Mia, though still feeling the sting of the accusations, sensed that the truth was finally beginning to surface. With the support of her mother and the unexpected advocacy from Stephanie, Mia was poised to reclaim her narrative and demonstrate her worth as a student. The journey toward justice was far from over, but for the first time Mia felt a glimmer of hope. Days passed, and as the school administration reviewed the evidence compiled by Stephanie Holt, the atmosphere at Maplewood Middle School began to shift. The whispers and rumors surrounding Mia Thompson's alleged cheating were still present, but now they were interspersed with a growing sense of uncertainty among the students. Many began questioning the fairness of the accusations, particularly after hearing about Stephanie's findings. Finally, the day arrived when Principal Dawson called Mia and her mother Laura into his office for a meeting. Mia stepped into the room, her stomach fluttering with a mix of anxiety and hope. Sitting across from them were Principal Dawson, Mr. Carter, and Miss Reed. The tension in the room was palpable, but this time it felt different. There was an air of acknowledgement that change was necessary. "Thank you for coming in today," Principal Dawson began, his voice more measured than before. "We've taken the allegations against Mia very seriously, and after reviewing the data provided by Miss Holt, we have reached a decision." Mia's heart raced as she listened intently, her palms sweating. "After careful consideration," he continued, "we have determined that Mia's test results are valid and that she did not engage in any form of cheating. Her performance on the exam was a reflection of her hard work and dedication." A wave of relief washed over Mia, but she remained composed, aware that this moment was just as much about the broader implications as it was about her personal vindication. Mr. Carter shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Mia, I want to apologize for my earlier assumptions," he said, his tone softening. "I let my biases cloud my judgment, and I should have approached the situation differently." Mia looked up, surprised by his admission. It was a small acknowledgement, but it felt significant. Principal Dawson then addressed the broader issue. "In light of this situation, we recognize the need for improved training on equity and bias among our staff. We want to ensure that every student at Maplewood is treated with fairness and respect." He glanced at Mia and Laura, who shared a hopeful look. "We will also be holding a student forum to address these concerns and to give students a platform to share their experiences," Miss Reed added. "It's important that we foster an environment where every voice is heard." As Mia and Laura left the office, a sense of empowerment surged through Mia. She had fought not just for herself, but for all students who felt marginalized or misunderstood. "Thank you for believing in me, Mum," Mia said, her voice filled with emotion. Laura smiled, pride shining in her eyes.
"You stood up for yourself, Mia. You showed incredible strength." With the school taking steps toward change, Mia felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was ready to share her story and help others understand that brilliance should never be questioned based on preconceived notions. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, Mia felt hopeful about the future and the possibility of creating a more equitable environment for all students. In the days that followed Mia's meeting with Principal Dawson, a palpable shift began to take place at Maplewood Middle School.
News of Mia's vindication spread throughout the student body, and many began to reconsider their previous judgments. Whispers that had once echoed in the hallways now transformed into conversations about fairness and the importance of believing in one another. Students started to question the assumptions that had led to the accusations against Mia, creating a ripple effect of awareness. As the school prepared for the upcoming student forum, Mia felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She knew this was an opportunity to address the issues of bias and unfair treatment directly, not just for herself but for other students who might face similar challenges. With support from her mother, she spent time reflecting on her experience, jotting down her thoughts and feelings in her notebook. On the day of the forum, the multi-purpose room was packed with students, teachers, and even some parents. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as Miss Reed welcomed everyone and explained the purpose of the gathering. "This is a safe space for us to discuss our experiences and to foster understanding," she said. "We want to ensure that every voice is heard and respected." Mia sat in the middle of the room, her heart racing as she prepared to share her story. The first to speak was Hannah, a fellow student who had also scored well on the algebra test, but had never been questioned. "I got a 100 on that test too," she admitted, her voice steady. "I used the same method as Mia, and no one accused me of cheating. It's not fair." Her words resonated with many in the audience, sparking nods of agreement. One by one, other students began to share their experiences, revealing similar stories of being judged based on their backgrounds or appearances. Mia felt a sense of solidarity growing among them, a collective understanding that no one should be reduced to assumptions or stereotypes. When it was finally Mia's turn to speak, she stood up, her heart pounding. "I didn't want to be here today," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I just wanted to take my test and go home. But when I was accused of cheating, it felt like everything I had worked for was being questioned." She paused, taking a deep breath. "This isn't just about math, it's about believing in ourselves and each other, regardless of our circumstances." As she finished speaking, the room fell quiet. Mia could see the impact of her words reflected in the faces of her classmates. It was a moment of connection, realization that they all shared the same desire for respect and understanding. After the forum, Mia's courage inspired many students to continue the conversation. The school administration took notice and committed to implementing training programs for teachers to recognize and combat bias. Mia felt a sense of closure and hope, knowing that she had played a part in creating a more equitable environment for future generations. As she walked home that day, Mia realized that her journey was far from over. She had found her voice and learned the importance of standing up for what was right. With her mother by her side, she knew they would continue to advocate for change, not just for herself, but for all students who deserve to be seen and valued for their true potential.